All right, we have unique ventures over here already. That's a good sign. How are you guys doing over there?
Good, good. How are you?
Not bad at all. Whereabouts are you calling from?
Belgrade, Serbia.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Awesome. I'm based in Bangkok right now.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit rainy, quite humid, but you know, wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah. Same here. It's also like, hot summer this year. And also we just finished with Solana's Hacker House. That was a blast.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys are at the Solana Hacker House.
Yeah, I just finished like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. Yeah, that absolutely amazing. I mean, they're doing it all over the world, but it was good to have them in our city as well.
Hey guys, sorry I got disconnected for a minute. I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm back. So I guess we're just waiting for Solar, but they told me they have some problem connecting. So let me just check on that and I'll get back to you in a moment.
Sure.
All right, I guess they should be joining quite soon. So why don't we start with a brief introduction? Tell us who you are, where you are, and tell us a bit about Unique. Let's kick things off.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having us. My name is Alex. I'm one of the co-founders at Unique Venture Clubs, and we're building basically a platform for group ownership. So we started over a year ago with an idea to make it easier for people to invest in different assets together, primarily in illiquid assets, like, for example, NFTs, because you can't really copy trade those. And we've been discovering how we can make this easier. And we ended up with the concept of clubs, which, especially from the technical perspective and from what is known in the space, you can see as DAOs, right? But we focus a little bit more on efficiency of those organizations. So we provide a framework, basically, where you can create your own club in different styles and types of configuration.
I've
And
seen
make it
that.
like
This is really amazing. Like, so I visited your platform a few times just to look at the whole layout and how a user or a project or a community can choose exactly who they are and what they want to build.
Yeah, that's been quite important for us because obviously it's not just us; it's everybody. Like, we are kind of experimenting in this space a lot. Sorry. So we're trying to understand, like, what's better for this or that user, for this or that organization, in our case as well. And it's not that simple because there is a lot of uncertainty still. So we've been trying to include as many different options as possible, and then once we go live, which should happen this month, we will see together with our community, like, what works best for which case, for which scenario. But we just want to provide as many options as possible.
Nice, nice, awesome. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Team Solar, Mr. GM, welcome.
Hi, Mo. Sorry for the bit of technical
Hey,
delay there. Hello, everybody.
no
Thanks
worries
for
at
having
all.
us. So we're from Solar Protocol. We build a decentralized structured product and clearing protocol. So what it really does is essentially we build the infrastructure and the tooling uh, on Solana to make creating structured products easy and just very easy for you to create off-the-shelf structured product that you usually see in traditional finance. So in traditional finance, you see a lot of structured product desks in investment banks, and these structured products usually are offered to either institutions or wealth offices. So we saw a big opportunity in DeFi, in which composability and the whole ecosystem being so intertwinable, so that you can actually create these structured products, unlike the friction that you usually see in traditional finance.
To retail users, or it's only institutions?
So we see big opportunity with both, because in traditional finance, institutions are usually the ones that have access to structured finance because of the different issues such as costs, time, and also just accessibility. So with DeFi, that possibilities open up in which you can create these rich set of structured products by composing with different instruments together and offering them either in piecemeal to individual retail users and or to institutions at the same time.
Nice, awesome. All right, thanks for that. That's a nice introduction. So, I mean, I don't know if you missed the part earlier about Team Unique being here. So maybe you both can also get acquainted a bit. It's really nice. Usually, the way this event happens or the case happens is we have one speaker from one project that I kind of wanted to spice things up and get it a bit more entertaining. And hence the reason of inviting two projects together and just going at it. So I guess for today, we're all about building Web3. So we'll start with a bit of Unique, because they've created something really interesting. And so I kind of want to understand a bit better in how that works in correlation with DeFi and Solana.
Well, when it comes to Solana, I guess we got attracted by the same thing as a lot of other projects as well. So Solana is really powerful, obviously for development, and also like all those fast and cheap transactions. I mean, come on, it's hard to ignore that. But then I guess it kind of it is important, of course, still, but the most important part now for us is this vibrant ecosystem of people building a lot of different stuff, especially in DeFi space, right? Because we do provide that organizational framework, right? But organizations, in the end of the day, depend a lot on their finances, and they focus a lot on their finances. And we obviously are looking to integrate a lot of different DeFi protocols as well to help those organizations manage their treasury and their funds more efficiently, right? So of course it starts with buying and selling NFTs in our case, but then there are so many more things that you want to do. And of course, we also do see some of the bigger organizations migrating on chain, and then they would obviously need products like Solar.
Right, exactly. So you almost see this. I mean, this is where I was getting to. Like, I see this ecosystem really being that, where every project that's being built somehow collaborates, contributes, and grows with each other.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this space, right? It's the whole aspect of any protocol can build with other protocols and compose and create products that are usually, I guess, utterly impossible in other markets. And DeFi kind of brings it out for this, also the community side of open collaborativeness between protocols, like all of us here that are building and to create new things together.
So on this, what do you think about the new mobile phone coming out from Solana? What's your take on that? I want to ask both of you, GM and Unique together. Like, what's your take on it? What are the opportunities that you see there?
I guess the first thing is, again, what both of us mentioned, is that we are trying to create a better user experience, right? Whether in terms of accessibility of certain things, and then to UX as it is. And the good point about all of that is, even if it's good on web, bringing user experience, web3 user experience to mobile is a real struggle, right? So I guess it's not like we've been underestimating that, but it's just been really hard on very, very fundamental level. So that makes me personally really excited about Saga and in general about the mobile stack, because we do need those attempts at least, right? Nobody can know how successful it's going to be, but that's definitely the direction we should be looking at as an industry.
Yeah, no, add to that. So in the past a little bit, it's always kind of been that we Web3 crypto has always we kind of live in our own utopia. I think always in a way to speak. And then if you look at the UI UX over the past however long, we have the web browser extension, the wallets, and interaction with the apps. But if you actually look at the next, say, however many, next billion people, most of them are mobile first rather than, say, web browser first. So having a phone interface to interact with apps, I think it's almost inevitable. I think either through Saga, and I think Saga's tech stack looks very awesome. Just with from the technical side as well as I think just from the UI UX side. But I think it's kind of inevitable that we'll have to be mobile first and deliver that
Yep.
experience.
It is, because I think if we want to onboard the next billion users, that collectively is the vision. Mobile first is primarily the go-to eventually.
Yeah, and also kind of I guess traditional phone carriers and then OEMs kind of also been a gatekeeper in this regard, right? Like because with crypto there's a unique aspect of self custody, and then there are the security aspect of it that is, I think there's quite a nuance. I'm not a mobile developer, but I think I'm sure there's nuances there that unless you kind of do it yourself, you kind of run into issues.
So on the self-custody, do you see that changing over the landscape now with the introduction of Web3 onto mobile first? How do you see that happening? That's a question for both of you. I'm curious about it, like when it comes to permissionless, trustless, and self-custody, but going on a Web2 network and still using that data framework. How do you see that? Do you see challenges around it or opportunities?
Yeah. So yeah. I'll go first here. So self custody and then I guess self sovereignty, along with the whole idea that censorship. I think those concepts is very unique to DeFi, and then I think that's coming from TradFi myself. I think that's always something that you kind of cherish once you kind of see what I guess if you don't self custody, if you have censorship, you kind of you don't kind of go back. So I think that it will always if it dies, I'll be feel very sad. Like if it's goes towards some sort of centralized, everybody gets custody by an entity. So I think that spirit of self custody will always be there, as long as DeFi is there.
And that's what Unique has built in a way and is building, right? If I'm not mistaken, in terms of like creating or presenting people with the opportunity of being almost self-independent.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess the whole self-custody and self-identity and identity, sovereign identity, is still kind of a big struggle, or at least that's what we see. But I guess again, it's a question of compromise between the user experience and like those risks that depending on some central authority represents, because we do see that a lot, right? A lot of people still rely on exchanges, for example, to keep their crypto, and that in many cases
Get your
it's
crypto
not.
off the exchanges.
Yeah. And I mean, it might not necessarily be bad from security perspective, because let's be honest, in for many users, probably exchange like top tier exchange can take better care of their funds than themselves. Again, on average, right? Because doing self custody is hard, really hard, right? Like with all the ledgers and treasures and whatnot. In general, cold wallets, it's technically still challenging for a lot of people, and again, it's a question of user experience. But then it's not about just that, and not just the funds, your crypto, your keys, and so on, but also again about this identity. And when we're especially looking into DeFi space and in general into Web3 native applications, you can't use them without Web3 native authentication methods, right? So wallets, again, from this perspective. And so that is something I believe is even more important. But then again, the whole experience with identity should also step up in a way. And so yeah, even in this case, we would have this for example, mobile stack and so on. But still, the question would be like, how easy would it be to people to actually carry on their identity, and what would they do in case they lose their phone or it breaks or whatever, right? So there are a lot of questions there still, but definitely that's inevitable, right? So we
That's a
need to
good
go
point.
with it.
That's a very valid point over there about what if someone loses their phone and all their identity and their authentication and their wallets are synced to that device. What's the level of security that it has, and what recovery methods can be utilized?
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the reasons people rely still a lot on exchanges, right? Because they have, okay, traditional and maybe not perfect, but established ways to control that, right? So if you lose, I don't know, your password to Binance, you can restore it using traditional methods, which again are proven throughout years and decades. With Web3, with all the seed phrases and everything else, I guess we haven't figured it out just yet, and we definitely need to go towards like complete self-governed identity, but it probably needs to get like multi-factor as well, so include not just, I don't know, device, but a combination, a
Yeah,
device
I was
and
actually gonna get to that. Like, I was gonna
yeah.
ask both of you, like, what's your opinion on multi-factor authentication? How quickly do you see that being adopted more across the board as a
Yeah,
standard?
one of my previous startups was working in that field, so like enterprise blockchain, but something like what Civic does, for example, but for enterprise, right, and on chain. And that's where we also try to do like a combination of those, exactly to prevent potential losses and bad user experience in the end of the day, right? So we've been combining passwords and devices and biometrics and everything else to actually ensure that in case you lose your device, you still are able to prove that you are who you are, and you can restore, for example, your accesses, right? Because that's important. It's hard to figure out.
It's challenge, yeah. GM, what's your opinion on that? What's your take?
Yeah, and I think it's also, and I think that definitely there's a balance needs to be struck between user experience as well as self custody, right? And I think that given how nascent we are and I think actually ties in with the whole mobile experience too, because the user experience is obviously very important for bringing on to the next however many users. So you have to offer a much better experience in DeFi than say, or Web3 than say Web2, and whether I think ultimately the form of what that whether it's multi-factor authentication or some other, I guess, novel methods of doing authentication that hasn't been thought of just yet. I think ultimately it needs to be, I guess, more refined, because I think we're still in very early stages of actually figuring all this out.
Yep, and that's a very valid point. We're still early, I guess. On this, so I'll come back to you, GM. Tell us a bit about Solar. I know we've been talking, you and me, um, on Telegram about some of your progress. Do you want to share a bit about that to our audience over here?
Yeah, for sure. And then I think the theme is all like very similar to we build structured products like a clearing protocol, but essentially what it really does is that it creates financial products that just makes DeFi more friendly, more risk controlled, and then I think to help bring the adoption of decentralized finance ultimately to the next however many users. Um, so over the past a couple months, we graduated from the Serum Accelerator program, started our fundraising at one of the best times possible in the history of crypto, and and
Congratulations on that.
it's kind of sarcastic, I guess. The market was quite brutal,
It,
but
it was, but this is where it is like, this is what I wanted you to highlight that. It's by saying, I mean, there's this FUD sentiment across like the whole ecosystem, not just Solana. But what people don't realize when they zoom out is how many projects are really building and getting funded and still are upcoming with real life solutions. And you're one of them.
yeah, thank you for the kind words. And I speak to like yeah, I guess it's spoken to every builder in the space. Like Unique mean is that we're all here to build the infrastructure that's and then the tools and the apps needed for adoption. And then obviously the market has been the way it is. We are able to we closed our round recently, and then we'll have some sort of announcement. But I think just aside from the round, essentially importantly is that I think it's bear market is also a great time to kind of just see what really worked and what didn't. And I think it's a great time for builders to actually, as cliche as that sounds, to kind of just see, what has been working, what hasn't. And it is a great time to kind of refresh your perspective, and just see what can you build out of this that will potentially be used by the next however many people.
So on
Yeah,
this, Unique, what's your thoughts? I would really want to get your feedback as well.
yeah. I mean, I totally agree on the bear market. I guess from the builder perspective, we love bear markets more than bulls, um, because yeah, it's great time to reflect and to learn from the mistakes. And what I like is because I've been in crypto since 2016, I like that every bear market, I guess, makes us kind of more you can say conservative, but I would say also realistic, right? About
More
products, about
focused as well.
yeah, like what actually can be delivered, and what would make sense, like in a longer run, right? Because I don't know, years ago we've been not just focusing but exploring, right? And then whatever can survive, like a month or two is already great, right? uh like after that, like 2018, 2019, I guess we've been both building for years, and hopefully now we're going to be building for decades, right? So that's something that is really inspiring for me as well.
Yeah, and on this, I see a lot of like this would be like the kickoff or like the appetizer in terms of like projects collaborating, talking, bringing each other to limelight, and trying to find out like how can we even make it better by working with each other, whether it just be by promoting each other or educating each of our communities or bringing our community to the other community and cross-pollinating them.
Yeah, and I also kind of think it kind of brings out the best in the space, the bear market after you kind of see the wash, and then you kind of see who's swimming naked, and then after that is more or less settled, you kind of see, okay, well, the guys over at MeanFi is building like the DeFi banking infrastructure. That's awesome. Unique.vc, you guys are building a investing, I guess, collective of sorts, that is actually bringing people together to almost like investment club, in the traditional sense. And we are bringing what is the best of traditional finances, risk management techniques, and then combining that with DeFi's composability with different financial instruments. to create structured products for hopefully the next billion people that they can use in their portfolios. So it kind of just see that, and you kind of saw in cycles in between. 2017. There's all of that, and there's that, and then 2020 until now, you saw a whole another wave, and you kind of see what is transpiring and what the next, I guess, trend of adoption would be.
You mentioned you're from TradFi, so let's kind of like maybe explore that a bit. Like, can you like share a bit more if you're comfortable with it? I know that this space is all about a bit of privacy and being a bit doxed or undoxed. So do you want to share a bit about like your background, where you come from, what was your experience, and why Solar?
Yeah, so I don't mind sharing it all. So I myself, so the Solar was created by myself and my co-founder. We're both based out of Canada, and we know each other for well over 20 years, just childhood friends. So my background in TradFi started about 15 years ago, and if you know about financial systems in general in Canada, it has been
Well,
it's has been
I come from a Middle East background in traditional finance, so quite aware.
mm.
But we come from a region where tax is does not exist, so the dynamics are quite different. Like I only learned about taxes when I moved to Thailand in like 2016, and I mean I got the gist of it. I was like, but why am I paying a part of my income after I've worked hard for my income?
That is yeah, the taxes are yeah, sorry to hear that. I guess you had to learn about taxes, but but in Canada, yeah, taxes are quite high. And then TradFi has always been, I think, in short, without going to too much details, is TradFi has always been TradFi in the sense that there are layers of financial systems in place that are decades old, and obviously there are the pros and cons to it. TradFi has various, I think, metrics and risk frameworks that I think DeFi as a whole, we should be more cognizant and be more self-regulatory on that front. And overall, there is the opportunity for Web3 and DeFi to, I guess, build something better than what TradFi has, or improve upon it that TradFi could, I think, almost impossible to do. So that's what brought me into Web3 DeFi back in 2017, more on a hobby basis, and then more on a serious back in 2021, and then we won a hackathon and just built a side project, won a hackathon, and then thought it was something that's just on the side, but then it turned to something serious, and now here we are.
Awesome. And I think Martin comes from a similar background, not basically TradFi, but he's been around. I mean, I'm talking to two OGs right now. So Martin, like, what's your background?
Martin's not here, so that's Alex. Anyway,
Oh, sorry,
my background.
Alex. Yeah.
No, it's okay. My background is in game development, actually. So I've been doing that for like 10 years before I ventured into blockchain in 2016. So yeah, I mean that's where my interest in organizations, I guess, comes from, because I've been working exclusively on MMORPGs, and that's been really fun for me because yeah, the result of game design and things like that. But in the end of the day, the whole end content for this kind of games relies on the community, right, and how people interact, how they build their social structures, and so on. So that's why I guess I'm here.
Yeah, and wow, okay, wow, we have a gamer amongst us. Nice. Whew.
And that
I
is
love
what's so
games.
fascinating. And I think that's what's so awesome about this space is that it brings so many. It brings like folks like everyone here that has different background, right? Whereas I think in TradFi, from my perspective, was always, you go through a route of X, Y, Z.
Yeah,
You do this, and
hierarchy.
then right, and then
Yeah,
whereas
it's
DeFi Web3, everybody you build based on what you love and based on merit, and you create something new. Obviously, there are things that we can do better on, but I think it's just awesome.
how do you see this has been a thought that I've been having for a while now. We've seen NFTs integrating with DeFi a lot, but let's talk a bit about gamification, NFT, DeFi, and then bringing in one of the main players, which is Metaverse. How do you see that happening? Alex,
Yeah,
you can go first.
thanks. So I honestly, I do still have quite a struggle with that because, uh, being honest, a lot of metaverse projects look like games from, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. And yeah, they do
Yeah,
utilize
Nintendo.
yeah, in the best case scenario, really. And then they're trying, I guess, in the first place to find out what could be the utility of the blockchain and NFTs in that process. But again, it doesn't go much further than okay, now this sword is yours and you can prove it on blockchain. Yeah, but I don't know. I throughout my career haven't seen a lot of actual players being worried about that, right? So like, I know I bought this sword, it's mine. I don't know if there is a record somewhere about that. Why should I really care? So I guess that's a very basic use case that's not so many people care about. And I'm really curious about what metaverse is gonna bring next, but I'm pretty sure it's not just basic NFTs and not VR for sure, right? So it's very interesting development, but
Definitely.
we're not there yet for sure.
Yeah, this is where like I see quite a few like now around the space DeFi's integrating NFTs into maybe opening up higher yield pools or farming or benefits for those NFT holders as opposed to the normal user of the DEX or the DeFi platform. This is where it gets a bit more interesting by seeing the evolution of how fashion is getting into it and every other kind of sector, whether it be medical, whether it be entertainment, is now stepping into it. Music. It would be interesting. That's why also to get your opinion, GM, on this. Like, how do you see NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse evolving?
Yeah. So so obviously we're not directly, but I think it's like because we're in the DeFi space, but just from looking at it, like I think one of the things that are very unique about NFTs and metaverse is brings people together around the world, right? Like I think just from I think personally, like I play some League of Legends. I'm not sure the audience, but League of Legends, and then back in the days, being boomer World of Warcraft. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah, kind of reviews about. But anyways, but I think the main thing is there to bring people together, bring community because you kind of need so from a business side like you kind of need some sort of distribution to kind of get people to say okay well this is what we're building and this is you got to build an audience around your product and how do you kind of distribute it to the people that are interested and I think NFTs and metaverse are a great uh, means to build a community um, and I think it's quite inseparable with DeFi in many respects.
It is, it is. And on this, like with Unique, I know like your platform is really geared and focused just towards that, right? What you're doing is really empowering communities. Um, what are the challenges that you see currently, and what are the opportunities that you see?
Well, again, because we're focusing a lot on the financial side of the the whole community interaction, we do see a lot of opportunities. Obviously, not just in pure investment, but also like what do you do with those investment. And GameFi is a big vertical for us because, for example, any gaming guild in Metaverse, in NFTs, and so on. Has to acquire a lot of different assets like I don't know lands for example, right? Which can be again really expensive and they kind of do it together and they have to operate that together as well. So it's not just investment in a way that we buy it today and we sell it in a year, but also you can extract some value from that along the way. So again, managing those assets is really important for us. And challenges, well, there are a lot of them because we do talk a lot about composability and how we can integrate with each other, and how can we make this process as simple as possible as well, right? That's I guess where a lot of challenges come from, and it's not just about being like open source or something like that, but also like really keeping some standard when it comes to integrations.
On composability, can I like ask that, like for our listeners that are not that aware of composability, can you break it down for them?
Yeah, so when we're talking about composability, I guess like actually what we want to say is that we shouldn't be trying to build everything on our own, right? And that's been the case in a lot in Web2 world, right? So because to find a service that actually can solve this or the other problem for your own product could be challenging, and then like integrating with it and understanding how its business model works and where you get charged and how how much would it cost to you, and so on and so on. It's been very tiresome with Web3. And for example, here for us, building all of our products on the same blockchain, the same network, that's something we are really trying to do, all of us as projects, I guess, is making this whole interaction as seamless and simple as possible, right? So for example, ideally, if I want our clubs to be able to use Solar tomorrow, it should be really straightforward, right? And I won't necessarily even have to communicate with the Solar team regarding that at all, which is also beautiful, because then we can create like hundreds of integrations in a very short period of time and improve experience for our users. On the other side, giving a lot more users to Solar as well, right? And that's beautiful because we can focus on what we are building and what our core competence is, and never even think what a structured financial product is. And our users would be doing that and enjoying it without, again, going too deep, or God forbid, using 10 different products and jumping from one web page to another, from one application to, and so on.
Right. They just want to be able to like really provide seamless experience both for the users and also for the developers, where on the development side, they focus really on building what they're really passionate about. And on the user side, you just come in, you get a seamless experience, you connect, and boom, you're there. Right, GM? What's your thoughts on this?
Alex put it so well, and I think I'll just add something very specifically to structured product. Because if you, let's say I want to create a structured product myself tomorrow, because I don't like to just play with naked derivatives. And I mean Web2 and just in a traditional sense, like I try to piece together these options, these derivatives myself. It's, if you ever tried to do that, it's almost impossible. So web3 has that like beauty to it, is in which you can just connect to permissionlessly to protocols that you can take these financial instruments as Legos and put them together into a structured finance product. I would say in an ideal world, like seamlessly. So again, I don't have much to add aside from that, just from a structured product angle. But what Alex has said, I think I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is what the team at MeetFi is trying to do as well, in terms when it comes to money streaming or payment streams and multi-sigs and super safe. And now we're just on the way to hopefully launch our token vesting feature as well. But Alex, you just launched your token vesting as well recently, haven't you?
Well, we are, again, because it's not our focus at all, so we are not gonna do obviously token streaming or vesting ourselves. But again, we are gonna like integrate some existing products, including potentially Mean, obviously, to actually again provide it as an option to our users, right? So, for example, using an organization wants to, I don't know, vest your founders, or like like DAOs do and so on. You can do that, but it doesn't mean we have to build this feature, right? It's just there on our front end, basically, and it's working.
Exactly. This is where you're providing the solutions. You're saying, instead of jumping, like you said, like 10 websites, 10 apps, you just come here, you have everything, you choose what you want, boom, 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 you select based on the rating or on the feedback or on the user experience, and you're ready to rock and roll. And I think that's like so beautiful. So here on this question over here, like there's been so much ups and downs about Solana. What are your takes on the future, not just of Solana, but on the whole blockchain itself? Like there's sentiments around it by saying we're going to be in the bear market for a while. What are your takes on this?
Well, again, bear market, bull market doesn't last forever. Bear market doesn't last forever. We're going in cycles, and it's a very natural thing, right? So, but that's market, right? Technology is not the same as market. Products are not the same as market. And like we said before, it's great that it's easier to build in bear for sure. So on technology, I'm pretty certain blockchain is not going anywhere, right? It's Bitcoin itself, for example, proved that it's pretty much impossible to kill anyway. And I guess at this point everybody got comfortable with that thought to some extent, not just like us builders or users, but also like governments and regulators. So they're trying to establish frameworks around the world to actually include crypto and blockchain, especially into into the real world. So it's here. It's not going anywhere. Okay, let's see how we can make sure that everybody is safe and protected and so on. Because I don't know. Of course, there are a lot of bad actors, rug pulls, whatever in the space, and I do agree that at least some consumer protection should be there, right? We are trying to build it ourselves, like integrate it on the protocol level, and make code the law, but it's not necessarily the only way to do that.
So are you talking about more insurance, or are you talking about more regulation as to how contracts are, deployed?
Both things, right? I do believe we need all things. We do need to make sure that on the code level it's as safe as possible, but we also shouldn't really be okay with people just blindly rug pulling everybody. Like again, it doesn't happen that much luckily on Solana, but we know some chains that it's more of a normal behavior rather than the other way around. But for Solana itself, again, I've been bullish a year ago. I'm bullish still, and again on the technology level, because I'm truly still amazed by how the team and the entire ecosystem is working towards new things, amazing products, and what's most important for me, working together, right? So this amazing vibe of people, supporting each other and trying to see what's missing in the ecosystem, and then coming together and say, okay, let's see how we can fix that as a community and the ecosystem with the support from the Solana side.
Exactly. I think this is the beauty of it, and that was the initial thought process when we started this Twitter Spaces. Like about now we've been going on for about 12 weeks, and this was really the drive behind it by saying we're an ecosystem. Let's unite each other. Let's bring each other to limelight, and let's educate our communities on what's being built, not just by us, but by others around us, and how we can support. How can they support? How can we unite to build better and stronger?
Yeah, and I just adding to that, and I think regulation, I think is kind of generally has a negative connotation with, say, someone from the enforcement agencies coming down with rules. And I think in general in the space, I think it's becoming more and more aware that regulation could also mean self-regulatory, which we just as folks building here just wanted to have right amount of consumer protection so that we build a new system that everyone likes to use. And if we can't do that better than TradFi, I think it would be a little bit, can do better in that respect than TradFi. I think it would be a little bit tragic, but I think we're moving in the right direction here.
Yep, we are. We have one of our core team members, Pavel San, over here, who's our CPO. I actually want to invite him to the stage, maybe get his thought on this, because I can tell you clearly now that I'm a non-technical person. So Pavel-san is the one that is really leading the product side of MemeFi. And Pavel-san, if you've got the request, if you're not shy, you're welcome to step onto the stage. Okay, I guess maybe he's not ready yet. So on the DAO side, let's dig a deep bit into the DAOs. I'll start with Alex, and then I'll move on to GM. Like, you've been building these products for DAOs. What's your take on DAOs?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we have also talked to a lot of DAOs and people who want to create a DAO throughout this, whole building process, and we've seen a lot of struggle in there as well. Because DAOs, in an attempt to be completely, for example, decentralized, run into a lot of inefficiency, right? So, for example, yeah, you do elect some people that want to and are ready to run a DAO, but then, them having to actually align every step they take with the entire community can be really tiresome. So people get get this whole governance fatigue, right? And that's becoming a big blocker for DAOs. And then again, the whole process in DAO can be so amazingly bureaucratized that it doesn't leave any space also for people to actually express themselves and find those new routes to govern more effectively, more efficiently, and better. So on our side, we're trying to do some things about that, and I guess in general, on-chain organizations is an amazing thing. We just shouldn't be stuck with this original DAO concept and be more flexible in our minds as well, because some centralization in some cases might not be that bad. So it really depends case by case, but we should explore much more of what blockchain can offer us in terms of collaboration, right? And again, that kind of gets us back to this composability. So composability can be not only on the level of user experience and products and platforms, but also on the human level, right? So how can we come together in a most efficient way possible that will allow all of us to express ourselves and together to deliver something that where 1 + 1 is more than 2.
Yeah, and then just as Mo, I know that MeFi, you guys have built a quite amazing community and the DAO and quite vibrant. So I just want to say, that's awesome to see. And then whenever you kind of see a big community organized around around that, and then, and to Alex's point, and so I think absolute decentralization, in an absolute sense, is that everyone reach consensus is almost possible, impossible. So, and I think some sort of centralization is almost inevitable, and we kind of see that and I think you can argue that every blockchain has aspects of centralization to it. So, and I think Alex's point of collaboration is absolutely uh, dead on. I think it's more less about decentralization, but rather than how can we collaborate together, organizing folks around the world that you may have not met before, and how to work on together or be passionate and find passions, common passions that you can work towards. So that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think this
remember.
is the whole point of the space. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I don't remember who said that, but it was a beautiful quote. Decentralization is not about anarchy, it's about creating moral leaders.
yeah,
Very well said.
decentralization
Yeah.
is there to solve a problem, right? Like the problem of, who's to say that some person, that organization that doesn't have a stake in a company or product, like how can you get the right people in the right place to get a product or an idea to all the people that want to use it and or participate in it. And I think that's like decentralization probably is a means to that end, but But I think ultimately the goal is to collaborate together as humans.
Yep, yep, I agree. On the collaboration, so this is before I take questions from the community. How can we help? How can we support you to grow and to get your message amplified?
Yeah, first of all, thanks again for having us on the space, Mo and the MeFi team. Again, like you guys built an amazing community. Congrats on that. I kind of followed you, I think, ever since I think last September, personally, and then yeah, and I think in general in the ecosystem is that the more that everyone that the builders kind of all get together doing this, and I think just getting the message out there, hey, we're all here, getting their thoughts out, thought leadership, and getting the community feedback about what we're building together, and then organizing folks around these different concepts and really just talking about it and getting a sense of what is working, what is not, and what people want and what doesn't people want. And then I think those are very valuable.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I don't think I have much to add. It's super important for all of us to talk on a constant basis, because otherwise, we can actually, like, instead of becoming more composable, we can fall back into, like, more Web2 thinking of this isolation, I guess, where everybody is doing their own thing, and we don't really care about the ecosystem. And it's I guess that's one of the biggest risks for us. I don't really think it's going to happen, but that can be an existential problem. So talking to each other and talking to our community definitely is the most important thing. So yeah, thank you for having us, and keep doing the great job.
Yeah, I think on this, like what I would like also is whenever you guys have the time, join our Discord, share your links, because we're going to share the recording with our community so that they can go and visit your platform, follow you on your channels, preferred channels, and then hopefully also help you elevate your community and adoption on the long term. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an amazing evening for me, morning for some of you, afternoons for others. Alex, GM, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking time on your weekend to share some thoughts, join this conversation, and hopefully empowering our future listeners and also the existing community on where we are, where we're going, and what the road ahead presents. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any closing notes, Alex, you can go first. GM, you can go next, and then we'll end it at that.
Yeah, again, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for creating it for, for the entire ecosystem again. That's super important. That's something, like I said, we all should be doing more as a community. And I just wanted to say that I really appreciate everybody building in the space, and hope we'll be doing more things, and we'll see more and more founders coming to the space and building new amazing products.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you again for having us on, Mo, and great chatting with both Mo, Alex, both of you. And yes, I think we're newest amongst both of Unique and me. So stay tuned for what we have. We've been getting a lot of product market feedback, and then we're looking to launch on mainnet probably by Q4 of this year. So stay tuned on that.
Awesome, exciting. So yeah, I'm gonna share your links as well with our community so that they can hopefully support you by getting more engagement, more followers, and hopefully more awareness. Alex, GM, it's been a pleasure. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in and staying with us all towards the end. And we're gonna have this recording on our Twitter Spaces that stays up for 30 days. So if you do want to revisit that, please do. And the links for both the projects are gonna be on our Discord. So you can join that and also join their communities. We're going to share their links as well. So for Solar and for Unique Ventures. And guys, enjoy the weekend. Make the best of it. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much, GM.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a great one. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Good one. Bye.